All right, class, settle down, settle down. It's time for another session of the Umbrella Pod Academy. On today's lesson, we'll learn what to do when the world ends. I'm Alex.
Even the bad kid in the back of the class is fucked up about this episode. This is too much. I'm not happy about this, and I'll tell you what, I'm having a protest. We're walking out at lunch. Y'all ready? Who's with me? I'm Justin.
Yeah, I'm Pete. I'm with you.
And we are going to be talking about Umbrella Academy Season 3, Episode 9, 7 Bells. Now, brief bit of recap if it's been a while since you watched the episode or anything, but the end of the world is coming. Only the Hotel Obsidian is left, and the entire, well, not entire, what is left of both the Umbrella and Sparrow Academies is trying to decide whether they want to sit it out and get destroyed by the Kugelblitz, or as laid out by Reginald Hargreeves, go through the door of the Buffalo Room and maybe try to save the world. And it's a big decision for everybody. It's a really tough decision, and we really walk through that quite a bit. Now, Justin, you seem pretty torn up about this episode. What's going on?
I mean, as soon as this episode started, and we got Lunar Luther just walking through his life, I was like, I don't like the focus on this character. Feels like trouble. And then it proved to be true. And this character, Luther, died in a way that made me think, it's going to be hard to come back from this one.
Pete, what about you? How are you doing emotionally and, of course, physically?
Well, yeah, I'm in a lot of...
How are you doing physically? We don't ever get the physical check-ins.
I'm in pain both ways. So what's killing me is the reveal that the reason Luther was on the moon was he was watching guarding his dead mother who was cryogenically frozen? Is that what that last shot is to have us believe?
I don't think he knew about that.
No,
I think he was just
didn't.
there. So maybe he was a stopgap.
We know that's the reason because this whole thing, we don't know why he was sent to the moon. And I feel like that was kind of the reason why.
So to take it back to the comics for a second, for anybody who hasn't read them, the books, I believe part of the reason that Luther was on the moon is that Reginald Hargreeves has a secret supervillain prison on the other side of the moon.
Right.
He is keeping them there. They break out. That's sort of part, there's a lot of stuff going on, but part of the whole plot of the Hotel Oblivion arc from Gerard Way and Gabriel Ba. Obviously, they're not doing any of that here, but I do think this is the show's riff on that in a certain way. Whoever this woman is, whatever is going on, as we're speculating.
It's Abigail Hargreaves. It says right
Hargreaves.
It says right
who
on
we've seen flashbacks of Reginald Hargreeves with a woman on some other planet or something like that. We've seen those little particles that seem to have created the powers of the Umbrella Academy go out from there. So there seems to be some sort of connection there, and it certainly looks to me like she is in cryogenic stasis or something like that.
Yeah, she could come back alive.
Yeah, so there you go. So given all of that setup, it certainly seems like whatever is going on with Reginald ties into that lady and ties into what Luther is doing. But I agree with you guys, that sequence, such a bummer and so sad to just watch Luther go through years of falling apart on the moon and then ultimately to get killed by this other version of Dad who he finally seems to connect with at the end here is awful. It's gut-wrenching to watch.
I mean, like I said, and I had the character wrong. I was like, you better not kill Sloane because they're fine. Luther and Sloane are finally happy.
They went so close.
They went and killed
so
Luther.
Far. Yeah.
And it's even more tragic that Luther had to die. If in fact going forward we don't, because there's always time. We can always go back and get a pluck of Luther from the past.
What's worse, being stabbed by your father or being like, finally you think you're in, and then he kicks you away and shuts the door, and then you have to do a reverse jump onto a buffalo to kill yourself. I mean, what is...
Klaus can't die, so like I feel like that's... I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
But I would argue it's worse for Luther. Klaus got to actually hang, like he's on Hargreaves' side now. Like he believes it.
Not anymore. Not after that move.
Luther got 1 second. Well, I feel like there's some intention there. And we know that a death for Klaus is way different than the death for Luther. Anyway, so like the tragedy of Luther was painstakingly watching Luther sort of go crazy over the course of his time on the moon, which he was doing in the show only to serve his father. was just something his father said, you have to go do this. And then we know he's so happy now in the present day, coming back from that horrible thing, and then he's horribly killed.
Well, and he's horribly killed in order to serve whatever Reginald's plan is, doing the classic kill somebody to bring everybody together thing. So
that old chestnut.
It is that old chestnut, but it works here. It actually gets everybody through the door. I want to kind of flip it over a little bit and talk about, in my impression, the negative of the episode, because I feel like this episode was sort of...
It's all negative. What the fuck are you talking about?
It was like the best and the worst of the Umbrella Academy, because all the stuff with Luther and Klaus killing himself to save himself at the end was badass, horrifying, emotional, harrowing. But then the middle chunk of the episode, intellectually, I understand the move of having everybody being like, nah, let's just, give up and let the world die. But the whole refusal of the call thing was driving me up the wall the entire time. Like taking the time to be like, let's have a vote and figure out whether we should save the world or not, after everything they've been through, drove me insane. It seems like, Pete, you were fine with it and you loved it.
Well, yeah, actually, yes. Because first off, it's a final FU to this horrible person who's been ruining their lives the whole time. Boss move, so I appreciated that. And secondly, when your future self says, hey, don't go, bro, you don't go. You know what I mean?
So, Pete, how can you trust your future self?
Pete, let me throw this out to you. Scenario, real world scenario, right? Like,
right.
I don't want to blow this up on the podcast, but I'm going to just imagine, not knowing the relationship, you don't love your boss. Nobody loves their boss, right? So,
actually, I have a lot of respect and love for my boss.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, your boss is an active listener to the podcast. Pete, always watching his ass. I love it.
All right, let's go. You've had a job at some point where you haven't liked your boss, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so imagine that job. You're in that job. You don't like your boss. Your boss comes in and is like, hey, everybody, the building's on fire. I have a way out of this building. Are you going to be like, as one last fuck you're going to sit in the building until it burns down?
Well, what sucks about your scenario and what you're trying to do is you're saying that there's, there is life outside that building, but the world's ending. You know what I mean? They're at the edge of the crumbling world. We're all going to die anyway. And you're going to go through a buffalo tunnel, which somebody already lost their finger. So yeah, that's the only way out. But
what if your boss in this building on fire scenario is like, hey, Pete, if you go through the buffalo tunnel where a guy lost his fingers, you're going to be okay. You wouldn't question that.
Yeah, I mean, I hated that boss for a lot of reasons.
That was a ridiculous hypothetical that I threw at you. Let's say you're a member of the Umbrella Academy and the world is ending because of a Kugelblitz.
Who am I, Klaus?
No, you're Diego in this scenario.
Yes!
Would you go through the... let's say the scenario was literally exactly... This is not a hypothetical anymore. What are you doing, Pete? What are you doing?
No, I got a good hypothetical.
I'm throwing knives right now behind me while I'm laying down.
Let's say, Pete, your boss is a guy named Alex who wants you to do an Umbrella Academy podcast. All you got to do is sit and talk about Umbrella Academy for, 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, but I hate Alex, so I'm not going to do that.
Okay, but imagine...
Are you sure Alex wasn't the love and respect?
The only way out of the podcast is legitimately answering my hypothetical.
Not going to do it.
Oh, wow.
I mean, to be fair, he did prove his point, Alex.
He definitely did.
And don't worry, I'm not going to run out of knives to throw, so I can be here all day.
Wow, that's great. Pete
Turning
he both was and is his point at the same
time. Well, what about you, Justin? What's your take on it? Do you feel the same way as I do, or are you also on Pete's side that sit in the burning building until you turn to a crisp?
I think this is a superhero show. So the amount of let's go take some time and wander around. I was like, we know they're going to make the choice to go through. That's narratively, that's where the story's going. We all know that because we've watched hundreds of hours of television and read thousands of pages of comic books. So I agree with you. It was a little bit like, let's quit treading water here and get to it. The only thing that was a saving grace is I think this show has given us enough surprise turns that them deciding to sit in the hotel may have been the right choice for them because of the way that they've introduced into the plot. Same Echo, like all you have to do is not do anything, and that's what you should do. So I was willing to give it a little bit of more credence, maybe a little more than you, but I do agree with you. I was like, come on, at least have one vote. We don't need like a chilling period where everyone wanders around. Like, let's have the vote and go.
First off, thousands of comics. We've been doing this show for over 15 years. Come on, dude. That number is higher than that.
Millions of comics.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, come on.
All right.
And I did say pages of comics, so it could very well be up in the millions in a lifetime. What a great line to cross.
I hear what you're saying, though, Justin. I think it was that chilling out period that bothered me more than the vote, because, like you're saying, all of the characters' moves made sense. Like Luther and Sohn saying, no, we're going to stay here. We love each other. This is why we got married.
Just got married. Yeah,
we're going to do the classic lying on the bed in the Titanic as it floods thing. That's our
sex.
choice. I get that.
Sex. They'll probably have sex.
I don't know.
A little bit.
Yeah, probably like a little bit.
Not just going to lie on the bed the whole time.
Please, I just want to get the tip in before the world ends.
No, stop.
Alex,
stop.
no.
You didn't have to do that.
By the way, what is the classic trope of laying on the bed while the Titanic sinks? Is that a trope?
It's not so much a trope as a scene from the movie Titanic.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know.
I mean, if you would have said, like, they're going to play, as the ship goes down, that wouldn't make sense. But lie in the bed in the Titanic. I mean,
right.
That's a good scenario. Pete, as a violinist, if you're on the Titanic, are you if the conductor's like, keep playing, are you like, okay?
Well, if I hate the conductor, I'm going to be like, fuck you, and walk off the ship.
And throw knives behind you, right?
Well, we're going to walk off the ship into the ice?
Yeah, exactly.
Not an answer I expect. You're like, fuck you. Good luck doing this without a violin.
But
drops into
if
ice.
that asshole wasn't there, and I was like, you know what, I just want to get one last song in, I'd play it away.
What if hypothetically you're the asshole? What if you're the band leader? You're like, guys, keep playing. Let's do this.
No, I'm going to be like, hey, you all should make your individual choices, and either if you want to save your life, go ahead and try, but don't try to share a door with somebody.
Yeah, I like the idea of Pete being part of the orchestra, walking off the deck of the Titanic, falling straight down, hitting Rose on the door, flipping her over, and she goes in the water with Leo, and they both die.
There you go.
Now that's the ending of the movie. I was thinking Pete was the guy that hits the propeller famously in the trailer.
Oh, that trope.
Yeah, that is maybe a trope.
It might be. Wait, I want to keep walking down to everybody a little bit, because I do think, just to talk through their decisions, 5, as you said, makes sense, because that has been his whole thing. He's been like, nope, we've tried everything else, which is saving the world, and that hasn't worked, so let's try not saving the world and see if that works. So his decision makes sense as well. Allison clearly has some sort of deal with Hargreeves. That's one of the big plots of the episode.
Yeah,
so whatever
as soon
is going on with her
was starting to be vocal and being like, hey, guys, we should. I was like, oh, yeah. She's in on it. You can tell.
Not to take a swerve here, but I feel like that was another big gut punch in the episode, finding that out, because seeing her apologize feels really good. That's something that we've wanted to happen.
But you can't trust it.
Yeah, we can't trust it. So what do you think's going on with her at this point? What is the deal that she made with Hargreeves?
I'm sure it's some sort of like, he said, yeah, if this works out, you can go back and be with your family.
Exactly, yeah.
I think she's gone too far. She's sort of turned too darkly to come back and just enjoy her simple life again. And I think that's what maybe she's going to be struggling with in the last episode.
What else? Who else is in this show? Diego and Lila are two other people that make opposite decisions here. And again, I think logically, the places that they end up, Diego being like, no, I'm going to protect this baby, and Lila being like, no, I'm going to go save the world. Let me do this instead to save my baby, potentially. Both of those choices make sense as well.
And I like this moment between them, because it's kind of, this classic kind of scenario where Diego is trying to do the right thing, but he's wrong, and his kind of like, I just want to be right once, and it's, the baby is a big deal, and he's super excited about it. So he wants to protect the baby. And I think it's interesting how that's kind of affecting them. We got that shot of her kind of looking at her stomach in the mirror. Lila is great. And the fact that she understands why Diego is making decisions, and is just like, come on, let's just stop being you and let's go. So I think it's cool.
But on the same note, it's insane, right? Because Diego being like, no, you stay here while the world ends to save our baby makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, also, she's a badass. You need her in the fight. It should be all hands on deck. But Diego is torn because he's like, someone's got to save this baby.
Well, he also lost 2 fingers to this. He's scared of this monster on the other side a little bit. So I think
you could tell by the way he's throwing the knives that he's scared.
You can tell?
Yep. There was hesitation in his release.
Wow. Pete, as much as Diego's an expert on throwing knives, Pete is an expert on observing knives.
The one that doesn't make any sense to me is Victor. Like, I get the idea that Victor is sort of just being opposite of Allison because he doesn't trust Allison, but it does not seem likely to be that Victor to be like, nah, let's not save the world. Let's just sit here and die.
I agree, and I'm curious what Victor's role will be in the last episode because he is such a powerhouse on the team. But both of the last 2 seasons have revolved around his decisions and his power set. So I'm curious if that will be the same going forward or why. Because I really like the way Victor was used when they first were crushing the Kugelblitz as just a member of a team. And that was the most superhero-y the show has been, I thought. So curious to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, but what I really liked about Victor is as soon as you say the word family, it's kind of a trigger for Victor. And it's also one of these things of yo, you were a piece of shit our lives. I'm not going to do what you say. I appreciate the fact that Victor was standing up for what he believes.
Yeah, it was that old pain sort of rearing its head maybe. But on that point, I think the line was, we can't just keep throwing around the word family.
Yeah.
So you hear that, Vin Diesel?
Wow.
You hear that?
Shots fired, bro.
You hear that shit?
Dude, you're going for Vin?
I'm just saying, it's a little overdone.
But I tell you what, that line that Hargreeves had where family are the only people who know us while we're and do the most epic trials. I mean, that's a hell of a line to give somebody.
Yeah, they mean the O.J. Simpson trial. The most epic trials.
That was a pretty sweet trial. I think everybody could agree.
Oh my
Moving
God,
on, though,
that.
I mean, this seems like kind of an obvious question to ask, but I'll ask it anyway. At this point, do you trust this Reginald? Do you think he has the world's best interest at heart, or is something else going on?
Old knife hands? You can't trust that guy. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he's got knives up his. He's like he's a magician. You can't trust his sleeves.
Yeah, do not.
I think it's interesting because Reginald, what do we know about him? We have all these alien things. He's got Abigail on the moon. We don't know anything about did he create the Umbrella Academy for some purpose, and he's there to watch them. He seems so disinterested in them. What is he prepping them for? If not this moment, what is he prepping them for?
Yeah,
because it doesn't seem like he has a plan here at all. He's just oh, is this what's happening? Okay.
He definitely has a plan. He's been having plans on plans, and I feel like it's once he saves the world, he's going to kind of have an evil plan for that. If you got nicer hands, I mean, come on.
But this is Diego sort of does in that way, like father, like son. I just think, is this the final reason for them? It doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like he purposefully groomed Luther to then just randomly kill him. It feels like he's a little bit improvising.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of information I think we need to know. And if the idea was to get the world to end so that the Umbrella, or in this reality, Sparrow Academy, could end up at this door in the Buffalo Room to go through to the Hotel Oblivion and ring 7 bells as 7 sages, or what was it? I'm forgetting. Whatever it was, do whatever this thing is. There's a lot of happenstance that brought them there. Unless we get some sort of epic montage in the last episode where it's Hargreeves behind the scenes pushing everybody in these directions, the fact that they ended up here at this point that he seems to have wanted them to get to seems like a very happy series of accidents in his favor.
Yeah.
I would say.
I mean, I agree. And then that sort of makes me think, what is the final plan? Is that what we're going to get in a final season of Umbrella Academy coming up?
Yeah, I guess we'll see. What other moments from the episode should we call out in particular? What jumped out? Here's a big thing we should talk about. Did Klaus and Ben fuck?
It seems like
just a note for posts. We're gonna need to boost Alex's audio on that.
Don't say jack up. I think it's one of
those
things.
Jack off the audio. Sorry,
you can jack off the audio. Jack off the audio engineer, so he'll do the stuff.
That's how you do it. That's how you get them to push the levers up. Oh yeah, here we go.
Wow, you get proud of yourself.
So proud.
Oh my god,
I'm proud.
My children are proud too. I just told them about it.
I doubt that.
You see your kids down. You see your kids down like a little audience.
All right, Daddy's going to do his Umbrella Pod Academy. Why don't you sit over there?
Oh my god,
that's who that voice is for the kids.
Yeah.
Pete, you had a salient point to make.
My mind got erased by this bullshit that we were talking about.
Did Ben and Klaus?
That's what they were hinting at. But I mean, the start of this was just hysterical, where they're on different levels of a pool table, and the whole Klaus being like, "I'm here, don't panic," was hysterical. I mean, the Klaus jump kill himself move was very epic, but I'm worried that because he's been training so he can come back, faster and faster, but. What does this mean for Klaus? Because he can die and come back, but if there's no place to come back to, can he come back on the Buffalo side, on the other side where his friend, is? But
I would think he would have had to come through.
Or is he going to come back as a ghost and it's going to be a Ben situation? You know what I mean?
I think that's a very good thought that very effectively avoided the question that I asked initially, Pete.
Here's my answer to your question, Alex.
Yeah.
I didn't think they did. I think the point of that scene was to show that they, no matter what, are just closely tied together. Whether or not they had sex, I think they're the partners on this show. They're the sort of Mulder and Scully that are always doing stuff. And we get a nice Ben rejects nice Ben, being nice Ben, sort of right after this.
Ben Areno.
Yeah, the only reason that I thought it, because I agree with you, I think it is about bringing this Ben back to the Ben that we kind of know. We haven't even really gotten to see him that much, and to tie up the Klaus and Ben relationship, get them closer again. But there's that scene at the beginning. Ben seems very uncomfortable about things. Later on, I think it's Luther says, "Did Ben hook up with somebody last night?" And then there's a quick shot in the elevator of Klaus trying to put his arm around Ben and Ben pushing him out of the way. It doesn't honestly matter that much either way. But
but I agree with you. The implication there is probably that they did. But let's they're hungover. It feels like neither of them remember exactly what happened either way. But let's just say, shout out, that is the neatest drunken Sharpie on skin I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And I've been in that situation.
Somebody's written asshole on your back before?
Yeah, or different parts. A lot of different parts.
Okay, different parts.
Let's just say I've scrubbed Sharpie off different parts of my body in my life.
Wow.
Excellent. Wow. Any other moments from the episode that you guys want to call out?
Oh, yeah. I just wonder, the whole... There was this Alice and Victor creepy hug where they were both looking like they wanted to murder the other person, even though they said they kind of apologized. I was just wondering what you guys were kind of thinking about that.
I don't know that I interpreted it that way. I could see... Yeah, it sort of felt to me like they were unsure of it. Obviously, as we find out later, Allison has another agenda, and Victor rejects it. So maybe that's what was going on there.
Yeah, to me, it felt like Allison was doing it because Hargreeves told her to. And Victor was like, this is weird. I don't trust this based on our last 5,000 interactions that we've had.
I wanted to call out R.I.P. Bellhop, who dies as the Kugelblitz expands. Very sad to see him go. Good character.
I did like the number 5 kind of drinking at where the sidewalk ends there. That was kind of a fun moment where he's just dangling his little legs over the side of the Oblivion. I thought that was pretty cool.
I did like that as well, and I liked their conversation together. I thought if Hargreeves... he's clearly manipulating everybody. There's something going on there. But if he's going to be honest with anybody, it's going to be 5, it feels like. And even if he is trying to push him in the right direction, 5 isn't, or the right direction for Hargreeves, 5 isn't having any of it. And so they can kind of just talk. And I like that.
They're sort of peers in a lot of ways, it feels like, Cinco and Hargreeves.
Yes.
They definitely test each other for sure.
Yeah, just like us. The Diego and Lila, they sometimes do it on the stairs.
Yeah.
Big revelation.
You gotta be careful when you're walking around at night.
Also, that hurts. That is not comfortable, is all I'm going to say.
Well, depends on the stairs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you got some shag carpeting.
Yeah,
stairs,
exactly. You got some pillows. I mean, it depends on what you're working with.
Spiral staircase, though? Like one of those metal spiral staircases in a New York apartment? No good.
No
good.
That's definitely a little tricky because you want to, you can't be at the top.
Nope.
Dangerous.
It's very dangerous. Yeah.
Check out our other podcast, Which Staircases to Fuck On.
Yeah.
Definitely
sort of a shorter run. We bust through a lot of different staircases quickly.
If I could,
literally and figuratively.
If I could put my line producer hat on for a second, there was like a really cool tracking hat shot where they were like going through. We saw. Lila looking at her belly, and then we had that moment where Victor was listening to the Walkman, and I thought that was a kind of really sweet moment. Yeah.
That'd be a director's choice, and that'd be called a montage.
Oh, okay. It wouldn't be like a cinematographer's choice or anything like that?
Probably director working.
Cinematographer.
Yeah.
It wouldn't. Maybe they,
Yeah, when you're shooting something like that, the cinematographer puts on their tracking hat.
Good. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Justin works in the business at all.
Oh, you don't think I do? I don't think you do.
Hey, can we get a little more cinnamon on this shot? Yeah, no problem, boss. It's me, the cinematographer. Oh, I hate this guy. If this building was ever burning down, I would stay right here.
There it is.
Yeah.
Everything's so dry and dusty when the cinematographer shows up.
Before we wrap up here, why don't we talk about who got top marks this episode? Pete, you want to go first? Who are you giving top marks in this episode?
You got to go Klaus. I mean, it's sad to see him go, and he did it in such an epic way that it made me really worried that maybe this is the last I was ever going to see of Klaus.
Klaus will be back. Luther, I don't think will. So I'm gonna give a cinnamon toast to Luther on his way out.
Sugar toast.
That's right. The way that he has developed over the course of this series, especially this season, I've just loved the character. Such a funny, unique choice. And if we don't get to see him again, it was a pleasure. I'm heartbroken for the relationship he had with him.
Like Alex said in the beginning, there were parts that were driving him crazy. I was booing the choices that they were making when they started killing people off.
I'm not saying I was happy about it, but I think it got the right emotion out of me. I think they hit those properly. They felt like epic, harrowing, horrible moments. That's what you want out of a superhero show, and that's what you want out of any show, is something that makes you feel something.
That's right. It's like when you were on the Titanic and you were cheering for all of the drownings that were happening.
This is it.
Good job. For the story. This is good for the story.
Yeah. Team Iceberg, man. Team Iceberg.
They're going to be talking about this for a long time, everybody.
Yeah, classic tropes, guys. Classic tropes.
Keep playing violins.
I'm going to give top marks to Reginald Hargreeves this episode.
Oh, come on.
No, listen, Fiore is really good on this show, and the way that he manipulates everybody here, I thought was terrible, but so well done. And ultimately, he does get his goal. Whatever his goal is, we'll see the next episode.
It was the Jesus joke that got you. That was the one where you were like, oh, this guy's good.
He is really good. He's really good, and it's very underrated because most of the time in the show, he's like, get out of here. I hate you kids. And this episode, we got him to see
he was stabbing his kids, and
at
you
the
liked
height
it.
of his power. I loved it. You hear that, children? Children behind the camera? I love it when
children working the camera.
I love it when a dad stabs his kids.
Sorry, guys. Alex is just talking to his child army. If we could actually if I could talk to the sound engineer and remove this in post, don't worry, you'll get what's coming to you when you do it.
See, he's a line producer.
If you would like to support this podcast, patreon.com/comic book club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Crowdcast and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about Umbrella Academy. Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Podcademy on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, we'll see you at the Podcademy.
Pete, have you seen Titanic?
Twice.
Wow.
Better leave that in. Little dog bark at the end there for punctuation.